In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. What are you laughing at?
It's just the pause. The pause. I like the pause. Hello.
I'm Vicky Fraser.
I've gone too soon, haven't I?
That was Joe.
Hello.
I'm Vicky Fraser. And today's show is brought to you by a nice cold gin and tonic, and not as much as it sounds like we've had.
Yay.
In fact. Because it's finally summer. It's like 26 degrees here right now.
It is the summer.
It's fab, isn't it, Joe?
It is fab. I had a really nice weekend. Family and garden and stuff.
Yeah, Joe's parents and my brother and his wife and his 2 kids and 3 chickens that are very badly behaved and they stole sausages.
It was good. I liked it.
It was good fun. Cool. Okay, so this week, we're obviously not talking about what we said we'd talk about last week.
I can't even remember what we said last week. What was it?
It was. Well, I've left it as the postscript for this one, because
okay.
Why the hell not? It was going to be ninja tricks and stuff to sell stuff, but we're not talking about that because in my inner circle, one of my newest members, who is Keith. Hi, Keith.
Hello, Keith.
He is working on his avatar and his anti-avatar, which is a very good thing to do, and everyone should do that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those things shortly, because everyone should be doing them, because they're essential, and they're one of the most important parts about marketing.
Okay, we've got it now. We're going to do that in a minute. Because reasons.
Yeah, because reasons. Anyway, he sent an email to the discussion group basically and was asking about avatars, and it sparked a bit of a discussion about how many you need and that kind of thing, and we'll come back to that as well in a minute. But my inner circle member Lynn, Hi Lynn.
Hi Lynn,
posted this in our discussion group. You read.
Which bit? Oh, okay. So Lynn posted this in the discussion group. Doesn't pay invoices unless chased 3 times. Doesn't reply to emails for days, weeks, unless needs something last minute. Arrogant, condescending, self-absorbed, lacking social skills. Texts emails several times a day or night. Definitely a client to avoid in the future.
He sounds delightful, doesn't he?
He sounds great.
Yeah. So
who is that?
Oh, well, she's called him Adam. That's not really his name, I don't think.
Okay.
That's just the name for her anti-avatar, which is exactly the kind of person that Lynn, or anybody else in their right minds really, doesn't want to work with. So she's ended up with this asshat.
So this is actually a real person?
Yeah.
This isn't just an anti-avatar exercise. This is a person?
No, she's had this client.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, don't laugh at her.
Everybody's got to have one sooner or later, Lynn.
Yeah, everybody's got to have one sooner or later. She knows that. But yeah, I mean, first thing to say, that type of person knows exactly what they're doing. Because they see people like us who are in the service industry as the hired help, and that is how they treat us. And they do that by making us chase for money, which is a really unpleasant thing to do. Nobody likes chasing for money. They do it by not bothering to reply for weeks until they need something urgently.
Yeah, that just says that they're more important than you.
Yeah, their time is more important than yours. And obviously arrogant and condescending is never pleasant, regardless of who you're talking to. Self-absorbed, lacking social skills. Do not allow your clients to text or email you several times a day or night unless that is a specific service that you're offering for, $1 million. Because why would you want people getting in touch with you in the middle of the night? Not that anyone does, but,
you can't stop somebody sending the texts or sending the emails.
No, you can't stop them.
You can stop responding to their behaviour.
Yeah. But she was a bit, obviously, Lynn was totally understandably a little bit reluctant to rock the boat. She didn't really know what to do, which is fair enough, because you don't really know what to do in these situations. Because it's not the first time you've had it happen, because, this is a client and they're paying money eventually when, they finally get around to it.
When they've been chased a few times.
Yeah, and so she was wondering how to deal with it. And, of course, my advice was, can you guess what it was?
Sack him.
Yeah. I advised her to tell him to do one, basically, in one way or another. And she said, in response to that, on the subject of Adam, and his real name is not Adam, by the way, this is just the
Just in case somebody called Lynn has got an actual client called Adam.
Yeah. On the subject of Adam, it's a tricky one to handle. I would rather stop the work and lose the money now, but feel that's unprofessional, so I will persevere, finish the piece of work and manage the situation. Totally understandable. It's really good that she'd rather stop the work and lose the money, because money ain't that important. You can always make more of it.
Yeah.
Always more money around the corner. And so I said, somewhat bluntly, because I was on my phone, fuck professional. Because if he is making you miserable, ditch him. Life is way too short for that. Just say that you're not a good match and walk away. I learned this the hard way, and staying is never the right decision. I'm totally right about that. I'm 100% right about that. Because this myth of professionalism is used by arseholes to manipulate good people. And
I don't think saying our relationship is over is unprofessional.
No, it's not. Especially if she's not been paid and and you know, taking Lynn's situation as an example here, but if someone isn't paying your invoices, and I have been in this position, we'll come to that in a minute, but if somebody is, you know, if they haven't paid your latest invoice, you're under no obligation to do any more work for them.
Absolutely.
Not at all. And it's a credit to Lynn that she feels that her integrity wants her to finish the piece of work. That is a credit to her. And, you know, that's actually got nothing to do with the client side of the situation. But she owes him nothing. If somebody isn't paying your invoices, you owe them nothing. Stop working for them immediately.
Absolutely agree.
Either until they've paid and you've sorted out the relationship, or, you know, you've just ditched them.
Yeah, dear Adam, I started this business so that I could have fun and earn some money.
Yeah.
I'm not having fun working with you.
Fuck off.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Yeah. So...
Here is all the work to date that you have paid for. If you want to pay me the rest of the invoices, I'll send you the rest of it.
Yeah. But I think that there is this myth of professionalism that kind of is persisting from like the 1920s or something, that professional is a bowler hat and a suit and a tie, and
customer is always right. And
yeah, and the customer is bloody not always right. The customer is quite frequently a twat. That's true though.
It is true.
Yeah, professional is, you know, the type of clients that we're talking about here, the one who doesn't pay the invoices and who, you know, values his time over yours. I am not exaggerating when I compare that to an abusive relationship, because it is an abusive relationship. They're
not sticking up to their part of the bargain, are they?
They're not, and they are being abusive in the way that they are abusing their perceived power, because they think that because they're the ones that are paying, that they're the ones in charge, and that's not the case. That's not how it should be. It should be a partnership, and it's. They use the fear of not being paid and all of that to trap people into carrying on.
Yeah.
It's just balls, basically.
Nasty.
It is nasty. It's properly nasty. And that's, you know, it's like, it's not just that it's annoying, it's nasty. And I think there is a certain type of bloke that will do this to women. Because you didn't actually meet him, did you?
Who? What?
I was about to name him, and that would be really bad. I might fucking name him anyway. I'll come back to him in a minute. But I wanted to talk about professionalism. Professionalism is doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And that's it. It's treating people with respect until they don't deserve it anymore, and it is basically not being a dick. And that's all it is. It's not wearing a suit and tie. It's not taking shit from cockwombles who don't respect you. Full stop. It's got nothing to do with swearing, with having fun, with wearing flip-flops, or with working in your pyjamas. As long as you're not in a cafe, that's probably frowned upon.
Okay. I agree. Yeah. Don't go to the cafe in your flip-flops.
Flip-flops are all right.
Pyjamas.
I mean, you know, if you want to go to the cafe in your pyjamas, more power to you, but, you know,
maybe not a business meeting.
No, you're kind of turning into the kind of people who go to Asda in their pyjamas then, and that's not good. Not good at all. So, do you ever encounter that kind of attitude of, you know, what professionalism, what isn't, in your industry?
Because
it must be different for somebody who's not a kind of freelancer in the service industry.
It is. We get people who... We've recently had a chap who wants us to help him out with his issues in a major multinational company, and he's a price buyer. And it's all about how low can he finagle the price. And whilst my company is not a democracy, I am merely one person amongst a few. And I don't think we should bother. I think we give him the price and we tell him that's what it is, and he can he can know off. But there's a lot of, oh, maybe we can shave a bit here, maybe we can lower the spec there, and maybe we can do this and that.
Why?
And it's just like, well, yeah, we could shave the margin and we could do all sorts of stuff.
Why?
Yeah, I think it's rubbish.
Do you want to be the kind of company that panders to dickheads, though? Or do you want to be the kind of company that charges top dollar for top quality work? Because that's what you guys do. You guys are the best in your industry.
Yeah.
And, the second you start cutting prices for people like that...
Yeah, we're deliberately not cutting prices, but we are lowering spec. And
Actually, that's a good point, because you can, if there is a client that you really want to work with for whatever reason, and there are reasons that you might want to work with a client who's iffy on price, a good way to do it is, rather than knock your price down, which you should never do, is just to say, well, okay, what part of the job do you want to lose?
Yeah.
And you just, give a bit less value.
Well, if they haven't got that much money for that, that body of work in the schedule they want it, then lengthen the schedule.
Yeah. Or stage it. Stage the project.
Stage the payments, lengthen the schedule, do something, lower the body of work.
Yeah. I'm not saying by any means only deal with, premium buyers at all. There are many good reasons to do low cost and all the rest of it, which I'll talk about another time. But if you genuinely want to work with somebody, like, for example, if one of my favourite charities asked me to do some work for them, I would absolutely find a way to get it done. Partly because it'd be pro bono work, but also because I genuinely would want to do that. So if somebody that you really want to work with comes along and they haven't got the budget, then there are always ways to kind of, noodle it around to make it fit.
But it's not just taking 40% off the price.
No, never do that, because the second you do that, as well, we're digressing slightly here, but the second you knock a discount off your full price, you've basically said to them, well, it wasn't worth that in the first place.
Yeah, we're just making it up.
Yeah. And that's a terrible thing to do. So anyway, we slightly wandered off the point. But
yes, no, most people I see are pretty professional. We see a couple, every now and again, there's somebody who thinks of themselves as a bit of a silverback and they like to try and frighten people.
Oh, you were talking about...
Yeah.
Yeah, him the other day.
So there was a guy, I was sat in a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and there was a guy who deliberately just put the shits up everyone. He just took turns putting the shits up people.
I would have really enjoyed that meeting because he would have utterly failed.
Yeah, well, I mean, he frightened a couple of people. I clocked what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the time he got around to me, I was kind of grinning at him. It was all right.
What did he do when you grinned down?
It wasn't. It was. The other people in the audience were important too. So he went for it anyway. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, anyway, so yeah, there you go. I think we'll get too hung up on this myth of professionalism, basically, and it just basically buggers everything up and forces people to be something they're not. Because that's rubbish. Being something you are not, or trying to be something you're not, is, as far as I'm concerned, is like the antithesis of being professional. Because you shouldn't feel the need to, unless you're like a serial killer or, you kick kittens, you shouldn't change who you are.
Don't kick kittens, people.
Yeah, don't be a dick, basically. If you're a dick, then stop that. And if you're not a dick, then there's nothing wrong with you. Pretty much. So, yeah, I don't like this it's unprofessional to do this, that, and the other. If you're delivering what you say you're going to deliver, and your clients are happy with it, and you're delivering it on time, and you're nice to work with and pleasant to work with, and people get on with you, you are professional. It doesn't matter if you do your work in a onesie.
Which sometimes you do.
In the winter. So yes. Anyway, back to the saga of Lynn's awful client. And I kind of said to her, ditch him because his life's too short. And a couple of other people chimed in and said something similar. And I kind of pointed out that, nobody ever wants to have that conversation with a client, the you're fired conversation, which normally you don't actually say like that. Because it's not very pleasant. But I kind of want to let people into a little secret here about having that conversation with clients. It's 1,000,000 times worse in your head than it is in practice. Possibly 1 billion.
Something with lots of zeros.
A lot of zeros worse. Yeah, order of magnitude worse in your head. It's like everything is worse in your head though, isn't it? Before it actually happens. And then you actually have the conversation, and then when it's done, you'll wake up the next day feeling A, really light because you haven't got this, dickhead to worry about, and B, wondering what on earth you were getting so stressed about. because it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. So, and then I got a reply from Lynn that just made me squeal and clap my hands in glee. That was just brilliant, because she said, I've cancelled the meeting today, and until I'm paid for the work I did in April and May, I'm not giving 3 hours of my time today. Had a realisation that my thinking I have to professionally finish the project I committed to is flawed when the client's part of the contract to pay invoices is not being met.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And I'm really proud of her for doing that, because it's not an easy thing to do.
Yes, I am stopping work until you pay me for the work I've already done.
Yeah, it's very easy for people like me and Joe and, people who are giving you advice to sit there and go, oh, you should do this, that and the other. And, what we say is right, but sitting here and saying it is much easier than actually having to do it.
Yes, of course it is.
It's a really unpleasant thing to have to do. Well, actually, it's not. It's an unpleasant thing to think about having to do, and then once you've done it, it's good.
It's like ripping off a plaster. Just get on with it.
So I'm really chuffed that she's done that.
Well done, Lynn.
And I think that sometimes as well, this is why I love my inner circle, because sometimes you just need someone to listen to you and to tell you that actually your gut feeling is right, and to say, no, you're not being unreasonable, you are being professional, and encourage you. Say it's okay.
Yeah, so your feelings are all right.
Yeah.
Your belief is okay.
And that, you don't want to work for them anymore. Actually, that's okay. And you just need somebody to almost give you permission. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, you need to be told it's okay. And there's no shame in that. I think that's the same for everybody. Because there's no rules when it comes to running a business.
Particularly, I guess, if you're pretty much a one-man band and you're making all your own decisions, it's nice to have a sounding board.
Yeah.
Am I being reasonable here?
There's no rule book for this stuff, which is why it's so difficult to run your own business.
Am I being unreasonable? IBoo. Mumsnet. IBoo.
Oh, God. Joe... Oh, my God. See, okay, Joe and I have no children. We have no plans to have any children. And Joe is utterly obsessed with Mumsnet. Make of that what you will.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
not
There's
amazing.
a whole sub-forum called IBoo. Am I being unreasonable?
If my phone is somewhere else and I want to look something up, I'd be like, Joe, can I look something up on your phone? And I'll say, yes, there you go. And I'll open Safari, and you can guarantee that Mumsnet will be there. And I'm just like, what?
There's just angry people being really passive-aggressive and unpleasant to each other.
You know
I
what?
like it.
That actually gives me a really good idea. I could start a little, I don't know, something. Am I being unreasonable, but for business owners?
But for business.
Yeah. Ooh.
Better get cracking. Someone might hear us.
Yeah, the thing is, though, people always go, oh, that's a good idea, I'll do that. And then they don't do it, which is why most stuff never gets done. I might do it, though. And I'm saying might because it might not have legs. I'll see. Listeners, what do you think? Oh, by the way, I got some feedback from asking about whether we should turn it into a book, and somebody emailed back and said, fuck no. Which is perfectly reasonable. Can you imagine what a rambly pile of crap it would be?
Oh man! In case you didn't listen to last week, you need to go back and listen to that. But we basically asked the question: should we turn the podcasts into a book? Right. Who was that person?
Oh, I'm not going to name her. She's really cool.
Can we expel her?
No, she's good client, customer of mine. Anyway, so there you go. I might do the am I being unreasonable thing. But I mean that kind of needing permission to do something that you feel is right but you're not quite sure is really common among business owners.
Yeah.
And that is why, one of the reasons why I run my inner circle, because you need somewhere to go to talk about this stuff and to, people who've been there before and done that. Because I have been in Lynn's position. I think it's time for the story. What do you think?
Asshat.
Oh, yeah. I've actually got, what does it say in my notes, Joe?
It's time for the story. Talk about fuckface and how I should have listened to my gut.
Yes, that's what I call him.
That's the level of the notes we're working off.
Okay, so I was doing this. This was like a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. We weren't quite where we are now.
Oh no. And I had done a workshop, an email marketing workshop, I believe, possibly, for the Chamber of Commerce, which I do every now and then.
That's quite a good thing.
It was a good thing because several of my inner circle members came from that. So, I should probably do more of
do
this.
some more of those.
Yeah. I might find that. Anyway, getting off track.
So he was in the audience.
He was in the audience, and he came up to me afterwards. Lots of people came up to me afterwards to talk to me and ask if I could, do some work with them and all the rest of it. And he came up, and he seemed really nice. He seemed very personable. He seemed to have a good business, and he knew what he was doing, and he knew he needed a marketing person. And so I arranged to go and meet him, which is another thing I would never do now, by the way. Never meet for free. So I did, and I was quite excited. Do you remember? I was quite excited about this because it's like, oh, this is a good business. And he wanted somebody to do ongoing stuff, so it wasn't just a one-off job.
Yeah, it's not like write some words.
No, it was ongoing retainer. It was my very first retainer, in fact. So I was very excited about this. And I went to meet him. We talked about it. I'd already done a video critique for him, which I charged a couple of £100 for, 257 quid, I think. So, and he paid me up front for it. So I had no reason to suspect that he was going to be a thieving shitbag. Don't laugh, it's true. So yeah, I'd kind of done this, and we'd arranged to do
So there've been some small transactions, a couple of conversations.
Yeah.
It's all sounding pretty good.
I know exactly what I wanted to do. I know exactly what I could do for him. So I put this big business plan together and this ongoing marketing plan for the next 6 to 12 months. All the stuff that we were going to do. And he was like, yes, this sounds brilliant. And I started. And my first month, the first couple of weeks, was basically fleshing out the plan and kind of, getting background stuff done and all the rest of it. And then I was like, right, we need to start on this, this, and this. And all I got from there was, we can't start that yet. And just reasons why we couldn't do something, which was my first alarm bell. And I should have listened to it. It was like, this guy is not a doer. He is a planner. He's a talker, not a doer. Talker, not doer. And there was always a reason why we couldn't do something. And I was kind of like getting everything in place. It's like, right, we're going to do this now. It's like, we can't do this, that, and the other. Ended up talking to the web people, and he wanted to change. And the website wasn't great, and I'd said we need to change this, that, and the other. And so he was doing background changes in there. Anyway, the thing went on, and I'd done came to end of the first month and invoice time, and I put the invoice in and carried on because my terms were like 14 days, I think. So I had no reason to,
And it was quite a big chunk as well, wasn't it? It was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a couple of grand, I think. So anyway, I carried on and then it got to, the reminder got sent out, and I kind of was like, is everything all right? The invoice reminder has just gone out and need to pay this. And he was like, oh, yes, sorry. I'm just waiting for some money to come into another account, at which point the alarm bells really started dinging. And at that point, I should have just walked away, but, you live and learn. And anyway, this went on, and he didn't pay. And by this time, I'd done another month's work, so I'd put another invoice in. And you're probably listening to this now thinking, oh, she's a bit of a dickhead. But the thing is, it's not dickish to get stung like this the first time. Because I'd rather nobody went through it. But anyway, it got quite nasty, and it's quite a long story. But I basically threatened him with legal action in the end, because it got to the point where he owed me about £6,000.
Which was significant.
It's a significant amount of money back then. I mean, it's a large chunk of money, to anybody now, but back then it was a lot of money to us, to me. So yeah, and I just and then he started accusing me of jeopardising his business because his investors were threatening to pull out because I wanted to be paid.
So let me just go over that. He threatened you with legal action because you were threatening to stop work. And you were threatening to stop work because he hadn't paid the previous 2 months' invoices. Yeah, I'm such a bitch. So he was gonna throw lawyers at you because that's just mental. I just want to add another little aside here. I'm a tiny person. I'm like 5'3" and 8 stone dripping wet, aren't I? And he is 6'4" plus, and he got in my face about this. And was just he wasn't like being aggressive, he was just looming and using big. He was using his size in my face, which I refused. I was just like, you need to step back. I'm not going to fall for that kind of shit. So, Anyway, the whole thing, I could have taken him to court. I probably would have won, but life, frankly, is too short for that. And didn't he this stuff that came from his solicitors was... really threatening. It was like 200 pages of stuff. Oh, yeah, mental. He must have spent more on solicitors than he would have spent on you. I know, right? It's just bonkers. But I found out after that, and a couple of my very good friends, Todd and Joe, were like, I wish you had spoken to us before I wish you'd mentioned it. Because I never mentioned it because I didn't really think about it. But if I'd mentioned his name... They would have steered you away. They would have said, don't touch him with a barge pole, because they did some stuff for him and he stiffed them. I've since found out that he owed the web guy several £1,000s. He has had another marketing person before me who he owed a lot of money to. And the really lovely girl who used to work for him, who I'd love to name but can't in case, she is finally realised what an utter dick he was and left, and is now working with said same couple of friends. Cool. Which is really cool because she's lovely and she didn't deserve that kind of shit. And some people make a career out of this. But yeah, his whole business plan appeared to be take whoever crosses his path for all of the work they can provide. Yeah. And don't pay them. He's a complete sociopath, I think. And, you don't always spot them straight away, but
I think my message here is listen to your gut.
Yeah, you knew he wasn't a good one.
I knew he wasn't a good one. And deep down, I knew. And the lure of that, my first really, really high-paying
big retainer
was very tempting. But I've since learned that you can always make more money. There's always more clients out there.
I remember feeling relief at the point where it was like, well, we could take this guy to court and we would win because we would win. We'd done the work and he hadn't paid. But the realisation that was going to be 6 months of stress.
Yeah, really stressful.
And solicitors and just dicking around. And what you could actually do is just throw that work in the bin and recoup those losses by doing a couple of weeks' work instead of all of that bother.
The only thing that tempted me to go through all of the bother was the thought that he was going to do this to somebody else. And that still pricks my conscience a little bit, if I'm honest. Because I think if I was in the financial position that I'm in now, and somebody tried it, I think I'd take him straight to court and that'd be it, because I could just throw money at it and I wouldn't be so bothered. But yeah, some people listen to your gut with stuff like that, because there are people out there that, not many of them.
He's the only one we've come across, isn't it?
I've come across just a few poor clients, but he's the only one who I would say is actually bloody criminal. Based in Stratford, if you ever get a client that feels you get a bad feeling about, please message me and give me the name and I will tell you whether or not to stay the hell away from him. I'm obviously not going to name him on a public podcast because that could get me into trouble, but some people are like that.
But if you're listening, shitbag, hello.
Yeah, I'm doing really well. How are you doing? And so are all of the other people you screwed over. So, yeah. But yeah, I guess apart from listen to your gut, my other main message is, fuck professional. Don't let other people dictate to you how you run your business.
Yeah.
They don't get a vote unless they are in the ring taking a beating with you. Their opinion doesn't matter. You'll get a lot of armchair people saying, this is not professional and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. And it's like, well, if you haven't been there, your opinion's worth nothing.
Yeah.
The only people who get a vote are you and your customers, and they only get to vote with their wallets. So, there you go, really.
Good story.
Yeah.
God, he was a shitbag, wasn't he? I wonder what he's up to now.
Same old
shit. I wonder if he's actually sold anything yet, or if he's still just
I don't think he has.
dicking money out of people.
I've been on his email list for a while, and every now and then I get a shitty email through. It's really funny. Apparently he makes up the names of the people that are named on the emails, so that the emails come from a person. Apparently he makes the names up.
Oh, right, so he's got a fake person to send the emails for him.
I don't know what he's doing. It's hilarious. Anyway, let's
Moving on.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, professional is doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, doing a good job, surprise and delight your customers. Never ever take shit from abusive customers or clients. Ever. Life is just not worth it. You don't need their money. There is always more money to be had and more fun to be had.
And right back at the beginning of this, sort your avatar out.
Yes.
Sort your avatar out so that you attract the right people, your advertising hits the right people, and the right people come knocking on your door. Yeah. Not shitbags.
Yeah. Because while we're laughing at it now, I was actually deeply upset for a few days, wasn't I? It really knocked my confidence.
Yeah.
Because you do think, is it me? Am I the critic? Especially when they're that, batshit crazy, because he is batshit crazy. And when somebody is that kind of, you do start to think, is it me?
It did make me chuckle when we got the threat that he was going to take you to court because you'd threatened to. You were potentially about to do damage to his business by removing your labour.
Yeah, but you see,
just mental. It
is mental, and you say you chuckled, but it's actually really frightening to receive a letter from a solicitor threatening legal action. It's a frightening thing to receive, even if you know you're in the right. It's one of those things that just makes your heart stop for a second, and it's just awful. So, but I'm absolutely not a legal professional or a expert or in any way, so I can't give legal advice. But if you ever have an awful client like that and you want some advice from somebody who's been there and done that, or you just want somebody to say, actually, no, you're not a crazy person, then drop me a line, just drop me an email. I will be more than happy to. This kind of thing I feel really strongly about.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault. It's like blaming victims of domestic abuse for being abused. It's shit. So You know, if you've got a situation like I had or like Lynn had, and you don't know what to do about it, then email me, because I will happily either point you in the direction of someone who can help, or, you know, listen or give you a bit of advice or whatever. So
29 minutes.
29 minutes. Okay, let's stop talking. Next podcast, we might talk about the ninja tricks. We might. We
just keep promising that, yeah?
Yeah. Well, it's like salt. People get fed up eventually. Anyway. So, yeah, call to action. Buy my book, businessforsuperheroes.com. It's on Kindle. If you join my Business for Superheroes club, join my bloody inner circle. It's awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah. We'll send you some things.
We'll send you a box of goodies. And a cape.
Kind of.
Anyway, have a good week. Be good. And if you can't be good, don't get caught. Thanks,
See you soon. No worries.
Bye.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.